Start. Okay. So, last time we have discussed the various tests for the convergence of the series. Now, in continuation we will do few more tests, discuss few more tests like a comparison test and limit comparison test, and after that we will come to the conditional and absolute convergence of the series. So, first test which in continuation we have another test which is known as the comparison test. Comparison test. The test says let x, which is say x n, and y, say y n, be real sequences and suppose suppose that for some k which is of course a positive integer, we have this inequality 0 is less than equal to x n, less than equal to y n, and this is valid for n greater than equal to k. It may be true for all n's also. If not possible, then at least after certain stage, if this inequality holds, or then the series, the convergence of the series, then the convergence of the series sigma by n is of course 1 to infinity. Convergence of the series implies the convergence of the series sigma x n 1 to infinity, 1 to infinity, 1 to infinity, and the divergence of the series of the series sigma x n is 1 to infinity implies the divergence of the series sigma y n. In fact, this type of result we have discussed already in case of the sequences. So, similar results we have for a sequence of non-negative series, we have sequence of the non-negative terms, all terms are non-negative. So, what the comparison test says, if we are having a series say sigma n of each terms is non-negative, then to discuss the convergence of the series or to find out the nature of the series sigma x n, if we are able to identify some sequence by n for which this relation 0 is less than equal to x n, less than equal to y n holds for either for all n or maybe after certain stage, then the convergence of this by n will imply the convergence of the series sigma x n. It means that with the help of x n, if we find out a suitable y n for which the convergence of the series sigma y n nature is known, then one can easily establish the convergence of y n. And in case if this relation is true, but if the series is diverging sigma x n, then the divergence of y n will be there. It means, if we are interested to know the we expect or something that the series is diverging, then we have to find this relation where this is diverging, then this will diverge. So, this is the main motto for this comparison test. The proof of course is very straightforward. Suppose we have this series converges, given suppose the relation hold 1 holds and the series sigma y n 1 to infinity converges. This is given. Okay. So, by definition of the convergence, a series is said to be convergent if and only if it is Cauchy. So, for a given epsilon greater than 0, so for given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a positive integer, say capital M, which will depend on epsilon, such that for all m n, for all m which is greater than say n greater than equal to m epsilon. Of course, all m n greater than equal to m epsilon, I am choosing m to be larger than n. For all m n greater than equal to m, the condition that y n plus 1, y n plus 2 up to say y m is less than epsilon. Because basically this condition is what? This is nothing but the S m minus S n, where S m is the sigma by I is 1 to m. So, basically this is a Cauchy convergence criteria. So, a series, because it is given to be convergent. So, by means of the Cauchy convergence criteria, for any epsilon one can identify a positive integer, so that this result holds. Okay. Now, let us choose m to be greater than the maximum value of this k, for which this result is true, this inequality is valid, as well as the capital M, which we have already got it because of this convergence. So, if I choose m to be greater than this, then in that case the result, this thing, because y x n is less than or equal to y n. So, this part will give that x n plus 1 y n x n plus 2 etcetera. This will imply that x n plus 1 x n plus 2 and so on up to say x m. This will remain less than by n plus 1 by n plus 2 y m, because x n is less, because m is greater than the number. So, it satisfies both the conditions, okay. And then this will be less than epsilon. This is true for all m greater than the maximum of k n d, and this is greater than 0, because all terms are positive. So, it will be greater than or at the most equal to 0. So, what this shows? This shows that this sequence S dash m minus S dash n, this remains less than epsilon for all m n n greater than or equal to capital N, capital say k, maximum of k n epsilon. This is some integer, okay, k n epsilon. And where S dash m is what? S dash m stands for sigma x I is 1 to m. So, this shows the sequence x S dash n is a Cauchy sequence, therefore, it is convergent. So, this implies the series sigma x n 1 to infinity is convergent. Okay. So, the proof is very simple. The statement B follows from the first. It follows from what the we says the series diverges, then sigma b n diverges. Suppose the series given sigma x n to be a divergent series, and let this series sigma y n converges, but the relation 1 also holds. So, it means if a series by n is convergent, then according to the part A, x n must be convergent, sigma x n must be convergent, but it contradicts the result given thing, because the given is sigma x n is divergent. Therefore, a contradiction is because of our assumption this series converges. So, wrong. So, B follows from A immediately, okay. Nothing to prove here is, okay. Now, another test is or let us first take the test, then another test is which we call it as a limit comparison test. In fact, this is the modified version of this. Here, because it is very difficult to get this identity, which is valid for all n all after a certain stage. It is very difficult for a sequence x n and by n two arbitrary sequence are there. So, it is not possible always to get such an inequality. Therefore, this test comparison may not be very much helpful unless you know this inequality. So, what is a we have slightly it is modified and a simpler form is given which is known as the limit comparison test. The test says suppose x which is x n and y which is y n are strictly positive sequences of real numbers. And suppose the limit of this x n divided by y n over n when n tends to infinity exists. Suppose this limit exists, say is equal to r, this limit exists. Then what he says is if r is different from 0, means when the limit of x n over y n is different from 0, then the series sigma x n 1 to infinity is convergent if and only if sigma y n is convergent. It means the behavior of the series sigma y n and sigma x n are parallel, that if this limit x n over y n exists and different from 0, then both the series will have the same nature. If this series is convergent, this has to be convergent. Okay? And second part is if r is equal to 0. Of course, the divergence part here is not mentioned. Divergence we cannot say if it is one is diverging, other will also be divergent. But obviously, if we have this sort earlier relation, that also gives a result for a divergence of the series. But here we can only take the claim about the convergent part of it, that is, so far the convergence is concerned, both these series will have the same nature, same means convergent. Then and if r is 0 and if sigma y n is convergent, then sigma x n 1 to infinity is convergent. So, there is certain limitation in this. Limitation is that we are unable to test the divergence part. We cannot claim anything about the divergence, but obviously, for the convergent which we are interested more to judge the convergent with the help of the given series. Okay. So, let us see the proof of this. Now, what is proof is given the limit x n over y n as n tends to infinity is say r, which is different from 0 of course, r. Now, once the limit is given, then for any epsilon greater than 0, by definition what happened? By definition, this mode of x n over by n minus r, this will go to 0 as n is sufficiently large, or for a epsilon greater than 0, that is for a given epsilon, that is for given epsilon say equal to r, I am taking r by 2 greater than 0, there exists a integer, a positive integer say k, such that x n over y n, this will lie between what two bond r minus epsilon r plus epsilon r. So, here the r minus epsilon means r by 2, and then here is also r plus epsilon r by 2, and which is obviously less than 2 r. This will be less than or equal to 2 r. This hardly matters. Even this 3 by 2 will work. Okay. So, we get the 3 by 2, or this is equal to 3 by 2 r. Okay. 3 by 2 r into y. Now, if we like this, and this is true for all n greater than equal to k, is it not? This is true for all n greater than equal to k. So, this happens. Now, from here can we say that r by 2 into y n is less than equal to x n, which is less than equal to 3 by 2 r into y n. Okay. Now, apply the comparison test, and this is true for n greater than equal to k, because the by-n's are positive. Therefore, when we are multiplying this, it is not going to change the inequality as by-n's are greater than or equal to 0. Of course, greater than 0, otherwise this will equal to 0 will help problem. So, by-n is greater than 0. Now, apply the comparison test. So, by comparison test, we can get comparison test this is comparison O, and here also it is O, not I O, comparison test. Okay. So, by comparison test we can say the result A follows, the part A follows. Okay. That is what. Now, case second is part B. If r is 0, r is 0 means that is limit of this x n over by n as n tends to infinity is 0. Now, since x n and by n both are positive, non negative, so ratio cannot be negative. So, clearly from here it implies that x n over by n will always be greater than or equal to 0. In fact, it is strictly greater than 0, because they are non negative terms, strictly positive sequences of real numbers, strictly positive sequence of none is 0 even. So, x n over y n will be strictly greater than 0. Now, since the limiting value is 0, it means the terms keep on decreasing and decreases to 0. So, after a certain stage, this ratio will remain less than 1. So, once it is less than 1, so you can say this is less than equal to 1 for n greater than equal to k. This is true, because limit is 0 means it keeps on decreasing and decreases to 0. So, after a certain stage, the ratio will remain less than or equal to 1, and it is always greater than 0. So, now what happens? If we apply this, if suppose sigma by n is convergent. So, from here you multiply by n. So, this implies that x n x 0 is less than x n less than equal to y n. So, if sigma by n convergent, sigma x n will converge. So, part B follows. Clear? So, this is the two results which will help in getting the nature of this series, whether it is convergent or not. Only what we have to do, we have to suitably identify y n, okay, and then inequality or maybe the limit problem. Limit. So, I advise that limit is a much better way of judging the convergence of the series. So, how to identify y n, so that limit of x n over y n will exist, and then nature of the y n will decide the nature of the x n. Okay, let us see the few examples which will help in getting this thing clear. Suppose I wanted to test the convergence of this series sigma n is 1 to infinity 1 over n square plus n. Now, when we say the convergence of the series does not mean that we are only we have to test only the convergence part. Convergence of the series means we have to see whether this series is a convergent series or divergent, but the way of writing is test the convergence means it includes both, whether the series is convergent or divergent. Okay. So, let us see, this is the sequence of non-negative real numbers, strictly of course positive, because n is 1 to infinity. Therefore, we can apply the ratio comparison limit test, but what comparison limit test says, there must be the sequence x n and by n. This sequence, if we want to test this series sigma n, you have to identify by n in such a way, so that the limit of this exists. In order to identify this, so here x n is giving to be 1 over n square plus n. Now, normally when we say the y n to be identified, we normally use this result sigma, we know sigma 1 by n to the power p when n is 1 to infinity. This is converges if p is strictly greater than 1 and diverges if p is strictly less than or equal to 1. So, basically the y n should be chosen in such a way, so that it will fall in one of the in this category. So, here what the trick is, let us take the here term n, anything common here outside, any n square if we take outside common, from the denominator take the largest power of n say outside, then what happens, if we choose by n to be 1 by n square, then when you are choosing n square outside, this becomes 1 over 1 plus 1 by n. So, limit of this x n over y n will exist. So, clearly limit of x n over y n when n tends to infinity is nothing but what? This is equal to n square over n square plus n, limit as n tends to infinity, divide by n square. So, 1 plus 1 by n and limit as n tends to infinity, and this limit is 1, which is different from 0. So, what we see here, that if x n and by n both are the strictly positive real sequence of real numbers, such that limit of x n over y n exists, which is different from 0. Therefore, this series is convergent if and only if this series is convergent, but this series is of the form sigma 1 upon n to the power p, where p is greater than 1. So, series converges. So, this implies that sigma 1 over n square plus n is convergent if and only if sigma 1 by n square is convergent, which is true, because of this. Therefore, answer is the series will be convergent. So, answer is the series 1 to infinity 1 over n square plus n is convergent. Okay. Now, similarly, if you go for the another example, say let us take this example, sigma test the series sigma 1 over under root n plus 1 to infinity. Again, this is a sequence of non-negative real numbers, strictly positive real numbers. So, to test this, we will apply the limit comparison test. So, let us take here, choose x n, here is 1 over root n plus 1. Then by n you take it the term which is highest power here is highest power here. So, highest power is 1, there is no problem, n the higher when you take outside it is becomes 1 by root n. So, if I take this and the limit of x n over by n, when we choose the limit will come out to be 1, which is different from 0. You just see, take root n and divide by. It means the nature of these two series are identical, but the series sigma 1 by root n 1 to infinity, this is of the form sigma n to the power 1 upon n to the power p, where p is less than 1. So, diverges. Therefore, the series sigma 1 by under root n plus 1 will also diverge, and that is the answer. Okay. So, we can get it this way. So, main idea is that you have to pick up the suitably the terms by n, so that we can compare it with our given sequence given series x n, the terms of the series x n, and hence the one can identify the nature. Now, this is the one which we have a very important these tests are very interesting important, because it gives immediately the series nature of the series without going for the sum, because sometimes we are not interested in getting exactly the sum of the series or the limit of the sequence or partial sum, because it will not help us. We are not interested in finding the sum of the series. We are interested only finding the series whether it is convergent or divergent, and for this these tests are very much helpful. Now, there are some few more tests which we will discuss after the concept of the absolute convergence and conditional convergent. So, let us take this absolute convergence and conditional convergence. Now, we have seen the two type of the series. We have discussed the nature of these two series. One is sigma 1 by n, n is 1 to infinity, and second one is sigma 1 to infinity minus 1 to the power n. Now, what is the difference between these two? If we look the first series, all the terms are positive and in fact strictly greater than 0. They are non-negative, strictly positive real number, and this is a harmonic series which we have already shown is a diverging one, diverges. While in the second case the terms are alternately positive negative. So, if we take start with this 1 to infinity or maybe 0, I will take 0 no 1 to infinity, let us take. Here we can say it is okay, minus 1 plus half minus 1 by 3 and so on like this. So, the terms are alternately positive negatives, and this is a alternating series, and we have also seen that this series is a convergent one, because if you remember we have this find out the even number of terms and the odd sum of the odd number of terms, and then the difference of these two is bounded by 1 upon 2 to the power 2 n plus 1, which goes to 0. So, limit of even number terms and odd number terms are coming to be the same, and the limit exists, and in fact, the sum we can identify the sum for this series. So, it is a convergent. Now, these two series gives an idea of the two different type of convergence. One is whether when the original series is convergent, what when you replace this series terms of this series by its absolute value, because basically 1 by n is the absolute value of this, because this first part is nothing but what? This first part one series, first series, that is the sigma is nothing but the absolute term of this thing equal to this. So, the original series is convergent, but when you take its absolute sum of its absolute term, it diverges. So, this shows that the series, the convergence can be break up into two types. One is the odd convergence, which is we call it as a conditional convergence, another one is the absolute convergence. So, we define the absolute convergence of the series as follows. Let x, which is x n, v a sequence in R in the real numbers, set of real numbers, we say the series comes okay. Then this series, sigma x n, say 1 to infinity, is said to be absolutely convergent absolutely convergent if the series of its absolute terms, that is sigma of mod x n is 1 to infinity, is convergent in R. So, one more thing, when we say the series is convergent in R, it means the sum of this series must be a real number, or the limit of the sequence of S n must exist and should be a real number. The point must be in real number. There are these, if suppose I take the set say -1, say 0 to 1 open interval, and if I say the sequence 1 by n, then this sequence is not convergent in 0 1. Why? Because the limiting value is coming to be 0, which is away from the set. So, for the convergence, when we say the limit of the sequence of partial sum must exist and it should be the point in the set where the domain where we are considering. So, when we say it is convergent in R, means the sum must be a real number. Okay. So, a series sigma x n is said to be absolutely convergent if the series of its corresponding series of its absolute term is convergent in R. Okay. And a series is said to be is said to be conditionally convergent. A series sigma x n 1 to infinity is said to be conditionally convergent if it is convergent, but it is not absolutely convergent. So, that is what I am. So, such type of basically case occurs when the series is having some positive, some negative terms, because in that case only we can talk about the conditional convergent and the absolute convergent. If all the terms of the series are non-negative and if the series is convergent, then obviously absolute convergent and conditional convergent is the same, because there is no difference at all. So, we say the results which is valid for the non-negative series of the non-negative terms. So, as a trivia or as a remark, you can say a series of positive terms, is absolutely convergent, convergent if and only if it is convergent. Because when the non-negative terms are there is no question of the conditional case occurs. Okay. Now, in this sequence we have few results which will help in further study. First result is, if a series in R means set of real numbers, we will denote by R or real numbers. If a series in R is absolutely convergent, then it is convergent. I think proof is simple. When the series in R is absolutely convergent. So, what is the meaning of this is, the series of its non-negative terms is convergent. That is, when we replace the terms by its corresponding absolute terms, then the corresponding series is convergent. So, given sigma of mod x n 1 to infinity convergent, given this series is convergent. Okay. So, by definition, by Cauchy criteria, so by Cauchy convergence criteria, we can say that for a given epsilon greater than 0, there exists a positive integer capital M, say, which depends on epsilon, such that if we take m and n both are greater than or equal to capital M, sorry, because we are choosing capital M, which depends on epsilon capital M, then S m minus S n should be less than epsilon. Then mod of x n plus 1 plus mod x n plus 2 up to mod x m is less than epsilon. Okay. But basically what? This is nothing but, and this will be, but what is the mod of S m minus S n? This mod of S m minus S n is mod of x n plus 1 up to x m, which is less than equal to mod of x n plus 1 and so on up to x m by triangular inequality, and but this is less than epsilon. So, this is less than epsilon. So, this implies shows the sequence S n satisfy the Cauchy convergence criteria, is Cauchy, hence it is convergent. Cauchy is satisfying or Cauchy sequence S n satisfies Cauchy convergence criteria. Therefore, the limit of S n will exist. Therefore, the series sigma x n 1 to infinity converges. Okay. That is what is so. Because epsilon is an arbitrary thing. So, we can say this is convergent. Okay. Okay. Now, when we have the series sigma x n, then at terms of the series is fixed up now, that is first term, second term, third term and onward. Now, without changing the position of the terms, if I regroup the terms, then the new series so obtained, the question is whether this series will retain the same character as the earlier one. If the earlier one is convergent, whether by regrouping the terms of the series without changing their order, the new series whether it remains convergent or not. The answer is yes. If a series is convergent and if we do not change the order of these terms, that is the first term remain on the first position, third term remains at the third position, but we regroup it. Maybe first 3 terms we are combining, then another 5 terms we are combining, like this way. Then the new series so obtained will be convergent if the original series is convergent, and not only this, it will have the same sum. So, that this is called the grouping of the series. So, what is the grouping of series? Grouping of the series we mean, suppose a series is given, okay, from a given series sigma x k, k is 1 to infinity. If we construct a new series sigma by k, k is 1 to infinity, by leaving the order of the terms x n fixed, by leaving the order of the terms x n fixed, that is the order of the terms or the position all position of the terms is not changed. So, if a new series is obtained by leaving the order of the term x n fixed, but by inserting the brackets, by inserting brackets that group together finite number of terms. Then such a series we call it a grouping. Suppose I say a series x 1 plus x 2 plus x 3 plus x 4 plus x n and so on. This is our original series 1 to infinity. And now what we do is we construct a series like this: x 1 say plus x 2 plus x 3, say x 4, x 5, x 6, x 7, like this way. So, this new series which obtained say equivalent to the by 1 plus by 2, which is equivalent to by 1 plus by 2 by 3 and so on. So, this series sigma by k is 1 to infinity. This is called the grouped series of corresponding to x n. A new series is obtained. Now, the nature of these two series will remain the same. So, that is the result is, the result says if a series sigma x n 1 to infinity is convergent, then any series obtained okay, from it by grouping the terms is also convergent. And to the same value. It means the sum will not change. Okay. Let us see the proof of it. Proof is also straightforward, simple. What is given is a series is given to be convergent. Let us construct, let y 1 is the one term which is grouped up to say k 1 terms, y 2 is another term which of the new series which is grouped from the original series by choosing these terms up to k 2, k 1 start from k 1 plus 1 to k 2 and like this continue. So, what happen is that basically, so we get the T 1, the original series nth term. So, if suppose if S n denotes the nth partial sum of the series sigma x n 1 to infinity, and T k denotes the kth partial sum of the series sigma y n 1 to infinity. Then what we see here is T 1, that is the first term. First term is what? Up to here by 1, that is the by 1. So, by 1 is nothing but what? This is the first k 1 sum of the original series. So, it is the S k 1. then T 2. T 2 is the second term, means this. Now, what is this term? This is starting from x k plus 1 and so on. So, basically when you are choosing this T 2 partial sum, then this is equal to what? By 1 plus by 2, this is first. Okay. So, by 1 minus by 2, that is equal to by 1. By 1 is this term or up to k 1, and then this is up to k 2. K 1 is say another term. So, we can say this is equal to y 1 plus by 2. If I take this term, two terms, first two terms sum, then what we get is by 1 plus by 2, this is equal to s k 2, okay, up to a k, by 1 this term plus this term, that is second term of this new series, and continues. So, what the first term is the partial sum of the original series, second term is also the partial sum of the original series, and the original series is convergent. So, this sequence of the partial sum will converge, therefore, this sequence will also converge. So, since the sequence T k of partial sums of the group series sigma by k 1 to infinity is a subsequence of the sequence S n of S n. S n is the first n term, okay, it is a subsequence of this series, and this series is partial sum of S of partial sum of the series sigma x k x n, and but this series converges. So, this partial sum is convergent. So, therefore, but limit of S n as n tends to exist because the series is convergent. Therefore, this implies the limit of T k over k will exist, and hence implies sigma by k 1 to infinity converges, and that is the proof for it. Okay. So, what we have seen is here that if a series is given which is a convergent series, and if I regroup the terms of the series without changing their sum, then the new series so obtained will also be convergent. Now, let us think a converse part of it. Suppose a series is given whose nature is not known, but we are regrouping the series. And getting a new series which is suppose say convergent. Now, the question is whether the original series is convergent or not. The answer is not necessary to be true. So, the converse is the note or as a remark is say the converse of this theorem, is not true in general. Okay. For example, if I take this series, for example, if we take this series 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 and so on, and if I regroup this which is a diverging series, this is a diverging. Okay. But if I regroup this series 1 minus 1 plus 1 minus 1 and so on, then it is convergent. It is convergent and converges to what? And the sum is 0, and sum is 0. So, what we see here? The original series is when we regroup from the original, we are getting a convergent series, but the original series basically is not a convergent series. So, the converse of part is not true in general. Okay. So, that is a very interesting example. Now, another concept is also rearrangement of the series. Rearrangement of the series. Now, in case of the grouping of the series, we are not changing the order of the terms, that is the place of the term is fixed, but in case of the rearrangement of the series, we are free to take up to shift the element from first place to ninth place, 7th place to 100th place like this. So, if I keep on shifting the position of the element, we are getting infinitely new sequences, new series from the original one. Now, in this process, the series new series so obtained, whether that series will also retain the same character as the original one. If the original is convergent, and by rearranging that series, if we are getting a new series, whether the new series is also convergent. Now, so, the answer is not true that from a series which is given to be a convergent series, and if I rearrange the terms of the series, then in general you cannot say the new series so obtained will be a convergent and will have the same limit. And in fact, this is a very result, very good result and very important result, which is given say by one of the famous mathematician Riemann. What he said, in case of a alternating convergence series, if I regroup the terms of the series, then we can get any real number, which is the sum of that series. That is, for any given real number, one can have a rearrangement of the series, one can have a rearrangement according to that given real number, so that the series will converge and converge to that real number. So, rearrangement of the term is very so clear. What is rearrangement? Let me just talk it another series. Rearrangement of a series is another series that is obtained from the given one by using all of the terms exactly once, but scrambling the order in which the terms are taken. For example, if we take a harmonic series, this is our harmonic series sigma 1 by n 1 to infinity 1 plus 1 by 2 1 by 3 and so on. The new series, suppose I take the rearrangement of this harmonic series, interchanging the first and second term. So, half plus 1, third and fourth term 1/4 and 1/3 like this. So, interchanging the first and second term, first and second, third and fourth and so on, we get new series. So, this is the new series which is the rearrangement of which is obtained by rearranging the term, or maybe another series if I take like this 1 plus half 1 by 4 1 by 3 1 by 5 1 by 7 and so on. Means first the even terms, we are choosing first two even terms 1, then 1 by 2, then again after 1 we are getting 2 even terms, then 3 odd terms and like this odd terms, even terms, and so this is another. Now, this will give a different series, but the arranged series will have a different nature, that we will discuss later on. Thank you very much.